What is going on, all you Minties? This is the Uncanny Omar here from Nearman Condition. And today, join me as I do an advanced overview of the X-Statix Complete Collection Volume 1 and the X-Men Milestones Onslaught trade paperbacks from Marvel Comics. So, please stay tuned. Now, the very first thing I want to do is thank David Gabriel and the folks at Marvel for sending us advanced copies of each of these books. These books are both due out on January 22nd. And check out the channel on Tuesday where I'll be doing the remaining trade paperbacks coming out that day. Now, I do want to focus on these two. That's why I wanted to separate them. So let's start with X-Statix. So here we have Peter Milligan and Mike Aldred's masterpiece, or one that I consider a masterpiece. This is X-Statix, the Complete Collection, Volume 1. So anytime I see a Volume 1, you all know I get excited about that because it means that eventually we're going to have a Volume 2, and eventually we'll have the actual Complete Collection. Now, it is Mike Aldred. Darwin Cook does join him on some of the art here. And where else can you see those two work together? This is a brilliant book. So this is X-Statix, but it collects mostly X-Force. So let's talk a little bit about that. It collects X-Force 116 to 129, and then X-Statix 1 through 5. And then Brotherhood number 9, which was an ongoing series. And I'll talk a little bit about that. So within these pages, you're introduced to Orphan, You Go Girl, the Anarchist, Fat, and of course Dupe, and the guy that brings them all together, this guy right here, Coach, who's kind of like a Niles or Professor X character that kind of guides these characters. Well, the thing about this book is that the lineup is constantly changing, right? It's kind of like a Suicide Squad, Thunderbolts, and it's all these characters that are just introduced within these pages. There's, yes, a couple of X-Men appear as guest stars here and there, but it's more about the characters that are introduced within these pages. And, like, there we go. To boost up sales, Wolverine is here. And there's my boy Dupe. Now, nobody can understand what Dupe says, with the exception of one mutant, and you guessed it. That's my boy right here, Wolvie. He's the only one that can understand him. So they have this really weird relationship. So this book serves as, yes, like a Suicide Squad, but it's all these unknown characters that have appeared here. But for some reason, you start really caring about them. I got a mad crush on You Go Girl. This girl, Eddie, right there. She was my girl. There's Lacuna. It's all these quirky, weird characters that Peter Milligan and Mike Aldred both created for this series. Is this the... Yes, okay. So let's talk a little bit about this, and we'll go back to talking about that. This is Brotherhood, which makes me think that this is... Yes. This is the Nuff Said issue. During this month, in this year, all Marvel Comics were doing the Nuff Said issue, meaning that there was no dialogue within the issue. They let the artwork do the storytelling, and that's it. But Brotherhood was another ongoing series, and the story behind Brotherhood is it's all written by the writer X, right? And I don't know about if this is true or not, but the rumor was that writer X was Howard Mackie. Like, he didn't want his name attached to any of his X titles because people just were not the biggest fan of him, like during his Spider-Man run. So I don't know if that's true or not. I never really checked into it. And here is that gorgeous Darwin Cook issue right here with my girl, You Go Girl, Orphan, Dupe, Anarchist, Fat, all these quirky characters. Some of them make it out, some of them don't. Like I said, the lineup is constantly changing. Dead Girl. Another thing that I will add to this phenomenal run is that there's a lot of social commentary within these pages, and sometimes they're so in your face that you don't really see it. Like, he tweaks up a little bit. I mean, this is the guy that wanted to make the dead Princess Diana into one of his characters in the book, one of his X-Statix. Now, where is X-Force? Because issue 115 was written by Ian Eddington, and I think it was Jorge Jimenez. Was it Juan Jimenez? Jorge Lucas, that's it, was the artist. And the team kind of disappears. I mean, we're talking Cannonball, Warpath, Domino, Boom Boom, Sunspot. Those characters kind of disappeared and weren't seen again because you're like, where the heck are these characters? This is X-Force. Why am I reading about Mr. Sensitive here? Or all these other characters that appeared? Well, during that time, Marvel was going through some changes, such as the Comics Code. Like, they got away from the Comics Code. So they were able to do things that they wanted to do that normally the Comics Code would not approve of. And one of these books was just letting Peter Milligan have at it, and that's what he does. Now, after issue 129 of X-Force, it changes over to X-Statix, the title. Now, the rumor of that was that apparently X-Force, Cable, and Deadpool, all those comic books that were going on at that time, there were royalties being paid to Rob Liefeld. So they went ahead and changed Deadpool to Agent X, they changed Cable to Soldier X, and they changed X-Force to X-Statix. Now, I don't know if any of that is true, I just remember the rumors. Now, let's look at the extras in the back. The book is packed with extras. There was a little bit of the script to that Nuff Said issue. Here's all the covers, because Mike Aldred loved doing covers to trade paperbacks and hardcovers. It is 504 pages. The retail price is $39.99. That's a really cool picture of Dupe and Wolverine. And let's look a little more here, and then look at X-Men Milestones Onslaught. There we go. Gorgeous. How could you not crush on You Go Girl? Oh, and one more thing I did want to say, of course I turned to the page that Mike Aldred doesn't draw, is that these colors are done by his wife, Laura Aldred. So it's like this team has worked together for many years, and I love when Mike's art is colored by his wife. Here it is, Onslaught. The event that, actually, this was my last event at Marvel. I left comic books for quite a number of years. If you've been watching the channel for a while, you know that this was the straw that broke the camel's back in Omar's eyes, as far as, alright, it's time to take a break from comic books. Found other interest, and I left for a while. Then I came back, though. And now I realize comic books will always be a part of my life, so I'm here. So, what is Onslaught? It's going to be hard to talk about without giving any spoilers. But you know what? I'm not going to do spoilers. Let's talk a little bit about what this collects. So, as you can probably tell from the beginning, let's see if I can find it here. This collects a little bit of issue 287 from Uncanny X-Men. It's drawn by John Romita Jr., where Bishop and his two guys in the future find a recording of Jean Grey talking about a traitor in the team and how he has killed everybody. And for the longest time, we thought it was Gambit, right? Like Gambit was going to be the X-Traitor. Well, this reveals finally who the X-Traitor is. So you have the talents of Mark Waid, Scott Lobdell, and this right here. Now let's talk about the art, because this issue right here is what made me an Andy Kubert fan. He was on X-Men for the longest time before I became a fan of his. And I don't know what it was about this issue. Maybe it was the inks. Maybe it was the way that he changed a little bit of his art style. Okay, with the exception of the colors on those lips. I never did like that. That was such a weird decision on the colors to do that. But anyway, or maybe it was the colors. Something made me stand out about his artwork in this issue. And there it is, Onslaught. So they had been teasing right after the Age of Apocalypse this creature known as Onslaught, and it was coming. And you didn't know what Onslaught was, who Onslaught was, and it all leads up to this big crossover event that was originally going to be a mutant crossover event, so an X-Men crossover event, but then it became a Marvel-wide event. Now, you got art here by Andy Kubert, as you saw. You got Joe Madureira, Adam Kubert, Carlos Pacheco, Pasquale Ferry, just to name a few artists. Let's look a little bit more here as to what this collects. Now, look at that wonderful artwork right there. It's Adam Kubert. Two Kubert brothers were just knocking it out of the park. So, this collects Uncanny X-Men 333 to 337, X-Men 53 to 57, Onslaught X-Men, which was the one-shot that started off the big event, Onslaught Marvel Universe, that's kind of like the Omega that finished the event. Let's flip more through here. Of course, we get Joe Mad. Look, it's that team up of Apocalypse and the Watcher. When else does that happen? Joe Mad drawing the Avengers in the FF. You get the Onslaught Epilogue, Avengers 401, Fantastic Four 415, Wolverine 104, and Cable 35. And I think Cable 35 was drawn by Ian Churchill, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I wasn't mistaken. Damn, I got a good memory. And of course, more importantly, also written by Jeff Loeb. The book has 488 pages, by the way, and it retails for $39.99. It's part of the Marvel X-Men Milestone line, which are these set of books right here that I've done overviews on before on the channel, but if you want to go back and click on those to see what these are about. Now, one thing I will say is that there's hardly any extras in the back. There's just like variant covers and character designs because they're found throughout the book, but I can't really flip through too many of those pages because they happen to be the end page of oh, you have Mike Del Toro Jr. too on artwork because they happen to be the end page of a comic. So now, when these books come out, you can purchase them from cheapgraphicnovels.com, your online home for brand new graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. Cheap Graphic Novels prides itself in packaging your books so they arrive safely and in excellent condition, as well as prompt and helpful service. Cheap Graphic Novels Black Friday sale is continuing all through December, so there's still time to save up to 95% off thousands of books. Additional books will be added throughout the month, so be sure to check back often and stay tuned to CGN on social media to be the first to know when the new books have been added to the sale. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discounts, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the contents and the page count of each of these books. Let me know in the comments down below if you're picking up the Milestone books. If you've never read X-Statix, I'd love for you all to check it out and let me know what you think. Again, this was the Uncanny Omar. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe button. Remember, if it's classy and cool, it must be near mint.